In the beginning, he praised me. In the end, he said no one would ever want me. In the beginning, he made me feel special. In the end, he convinced me I was disposable. Have you ever lived a love that started with flowers and ended with thorns? Stay with me until the end, because today I'm going to share how I almost lost my identity because of a narcissist, and how I managed to save myself. My name is Camila. I was 29 when I met Rafael. I had just come out of a turbulent relationship trying to start over. I worked as an administrative assistant at a school and lived alone. I've always been a dreamer, the kind who believes in true love. I met Rafael at a coffee shop. He seemed cultured, polite, funny, and he complimented me in a way no one ever had. He said I was intelligent, that my laugh was contagious, that I was beautiful in my own way. At the time, I was vulnerable. I came from a home with a very critical mother who constantly made me feel like I wasn't enough. So when someone like Rafael told me I was everything he had ever looked for, it felt like a balm for my self-esteem. Many of us, especially those who come from difficult childhoods, end up clinging to this idealized version of love without realizing the danger hiding behind the mask of the perfect man. For the first 3 months, I felt like I was living a fairy tale. He took me out to dinner, sent me sweet messages, said he dreamed of marrying me. He even cried, saying he had finally found the woman of his life. He said he was different from other guys, that he truly knew how to value a woman. I felt special, chosen. But over time, those compliments started turning into subtle criticisms disguised as concern. You're so pretty, you just don't need to wear such tight clothes. You're smart, but you talk too much sometimes. It's not a good look. I started questioning myself. Maybe he was right? I wanted to please him. I changed my style. I stopped wearing red lipstick because he said it didn't suit me. I stopped going out with my friends because he said they were a bad influence. I remember once he openly flirted with a waitress in front of me. When I confronted him, he laughed and said, "You're imagining things, babe. You always exaggerate." And that's how the gaslighting began. Obvious situations I witnessed with my own eyes were twisted until I doubted my own perception. He said I was jealous, dramatic, emotionally unstable. I started apologizing for everything. He began to control every part of my life. He would call me every 15 minutes. If I took too long to answer, he'd say I was hiding something. He forbade me from having male friends, said my family didn't like him because they were jealous of our relationship. I started distancing myself from everything and everyone. I lived in his world, did what he wanted, the way he wanted. I was a shadow of myself. And the worst part, I believed that was love. Infidelity and humiliation. I discovered multiple affairs. He always denied them, even with proof. And when he couldn't deny it, he blamed me. You push me to seek affection elsewhere because you're always accusing me. No other woman would put up with you, only I'm patient enough. I began to believe I was crazy, that I truly wasn't good enough. When I disagreed with anything, he would punish me with silence. Days without speaking to me, sleeping turned away as if I didn't exist. And when he finally did speak, he said, "I can't even look at you. You disgust me when you act like this." That destroyed me, and at the same time, made me chase after him, apologize, try to win back his affection. It was a cycle of pain and hope. The breaking point came during a family lunch. He humiliated me in front of everyone, saying no one would ever want me, that I was a difficult woman, and that he stayed with me out of pity. Everyone went silent. I smiled, out of shame. But inside, something broke. That night, I cried myself to sleep. The next day, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I was worn out, thin, with deep under-eye circles and a hollow in my chest I couldn't name. And then I asked myself, is this love? Why do I feel dead inside if he says he loves me? That was my first awakening. Subtle, but enough for me to start looking for answers. I began watching YouTube videos about toxic relationships. I saw stories that sounded just like mine. I discovered the term narcissism and cried for hours, because for the first time, I felt validated. I started therapy. It took months for me to finally break away, because the narcissist always comes back, with flowers, with promises, with declarations. He came back saying he would change, that he'd go to therapy, that he was sorry. I went back. I regretted it. I suffered more. The last time I went back, he locked me in a room for almost 5 hours because I said I was leaving. He threatened me, said if I walked out, I'd never find anyone, that no one wanted me, that I was old, ugly, worthless. But I left. I walked away, trembling, afraid. But I did it, and I began to rebuild myself, slowly, painfully, with emotional relapses. But today, when I look in the mirror, I see a woman who is alive, a strong woman, one who learned to listen to herself and protect herself. I grew up being told I was hard to love. My mother was extremely critical. Nothing I did was ever enough. If I scored a 9, she asked why it wasn't a 10. If I dressed up, she said I was showing off. I learned to mold myself, not to bother anyone, to please, to shrink. And that made me the perfect target for a narcissist, because I was already programmed to adapt to what others wanted from me, not what I really needed. When Raphael came into my life, he filled an old void. He gave me, for a while, the validation I never had. But later, he did exactly what my mother used to do: belittle me, devalue me, make me question myself. I repeated a pattern, unconsciously. After I left Raphael, I spent a long time, unable to trust. Every compliment felt like manipulation. Every sweet message made me anxious. I was constantly on edge. I dated a few people, but just a firm tone of voice would make me shrink. I blamed myself for everything, apologized even when I had done nothing wrong. I always felt like I owed something. Therapy helped me understand what was mine and what had been projected onto me. And that was fundamental to start rebuilding my ability to love in a safe way. Even after months of therapy, I dreamed about him. I had crying fits. I wondered if I had exaggerated, if he really was a narcissist, or if I was being cruel by labeling him that way. That's common, because psychological abuse leaves deep scars. Victims often feel guilty, because the abuser builds a narrative in which the victim is the true villain. But I had to learn that it wasn't my fault, that recognizing the abuse wasn't defamation. It was self-preservation. Little by little, I started reconnecting with things that brought me joy. I went back to drawing, something he said was a waste of time. I went out with friends again. I cut my hair the way I liked. I started looking at myself with more love, and I realized that the love I was searching for in others, I first needed to find in myself. Today, I can recognize the signs before they turn into traps. I know how to say no. I know how to set boundaries. And most importantly, I know how to walk away from people who drain me. Today, I understand that love doesn't hurt. That someone who truly loves you doesn't try to destroy you. That real love doesn't isolate you, confuse you, or make you feel small. If I could go back in time, I would have trusted the first signs. I would have listened more to my intuition. And if you're living something similar, don't ignore your heart. Listen to the silence in your body. Pay attention to how you feel around this person. If this story touched you, leave a comment down below. Share your story. Let's create a chain of support for those trying to leave abusive relationships. You are not alone. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. It might be the start of someone's liberation. And if you've lived through something like this, send us your story. Your voice can save other women. You deserve a love that heals, not one that hurts. You deserve respect every single day. You deserve to fully exist again. This video is dedicated to all the women who survived emotional abuse and are learning how to love themselves.